Turning then to why do entrepreneurial organizations become bureaucratic? That's a key question. We can all say that the entrepreneurial that is agile and growing is something that we all want. And at the same time, we find that bureaucracy is slow and stagnating. It is bad. But mature organizations continue to fight with bureaucracy while saying they want to be more entrepreneurial. The key then is if people see bureaucracy as frustrating, why do entrepreneurial startups go from that type of mentality to being bureaucratic? This is an evolution that normally happens. We need to discover why it happens. And once we understand that, we can then start to address how to keep it from happening or how to go back to a more entrepreneurial mindset. Then we're talking about the entrepreneurial turning to bureaucracy. Why does this evolution happen? Let's go back to how startups form. Their initial structure is basically a hub and spoke type of structure where there is a key centralized decision point. This may be a single individual, a few people, or a small team. But again, it is a tightly controlled focus on who is controlling the primary decisions, and they surround them with competent people then to move their vision forward. That is a typical hub and spoke structure. That can then also be drawn into a very simple hierarchy of 2 layers. When we then go forward with maturing, additional people are hired into the organization. And as they're hired, the traditional organization chart starts to form by adding hierarchical levels. These levels then allow the empowerment of authority and decision-making to be pushed down into the organization, but from a limited perspective. And this is where the challenge to bureaucracy starts to have its deep roots, in that the decision-making authority is devolved down into the organization hierarchies, but at the same time, it's not totally distributed or let free within those levels. There is still some limited control, such that while the lower levels of organization do have some decision-making authority, it is normally constrained, and it has also some strings attached to it, such that the people at the lower levels don't have complete confidence that they are truly in control of the decision authority that they may have. In which case, if there's any question as to, is it the right decision, or there's some confusion as to possible directions, there's an easy out to bump that decision back up the hierarchy versus making it themselves. This sets up the bureaucratic passing the buck up the organization and not making decision, or to postpone decisions that are begging to be made based upon pressures on the organization. The key then is that bureaucracy is somewhat normal then with growth, but that normacy comes when there's an emphasis on control. The key then is, how do you gain some control? What's the limits of control without setting up an expectation for bureaucracy to start to take place? Moving then from entrepreneurial growth, let's take a look at some of the principles of effectuation. This again is the theory of successful entrepreneurship. What makes them successful? The challenge then is how to grow without losing control and still be quick and flexible. That's the objective that we want to accomplish. This is keeping the entrepreneurial spirit alive and not letting bureaucracy take a deep root. This gets into what makes entrepreneurs truly entrepreneurial and how can we maintain that spirit. What I'm going to be talking about here, again, is effectuation, and I'm going to be drawing my material from a Society of Effectual Control, which is housed at the University of Virginia. The University of Virginia has done much research on this over the years, and this particular document is a great summary of what the key principles of effectuation are.